Hey everybody, it's Corey Sir Matrix here. Just trying to give you a quick tutorial about this 2022 Maya aspect. Let's go ahead and hop right in. Now, I'll mind you to let you know that I don't really tend to rush through my lessons. So, if you're gonna watch it, be prepared to watch a video. Now, what we're gonna do here is make a human face using nothing but a square primitive, a square polygon primitive. And people usually, I would say typically, always ask, why is it that you would use a polygon primitive or a square one over a circular? That's because it's much more easier to shape for you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take my time with it. If you have a pen and paper, it'll probably be useful to you. So you could jot down the notes of the tools that we're gonna use. But here's my grid. Please forgive my pinging. My computer is not the best, but it'll still get the point across. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make a human head using squares. And in order to do this, and it'd be a decent face and neck structure for you. Now, I'm going to take my time with it. So, if you have a pen, paper, and anything you need, get it now. Because I'm going to begin. First thing you want to do is grab yourself a square. Square primitive. You can go here, but I'm an old-fashioned guy. I like to go up top. You have a file, edit, and create. I go to create, second down, polygon primitive. NURBs are good too, but they're too, I would say, reactive to little changes. Maybe I gotta consult to my professor on that. This is a trial for beginners by a beginner. So what I normally will do is go here, take me a polygon primitive, select square. And we'll have a square here. Now, here's where we have our square at. So what I will do is tell you this. Q, W, E, and R are your number one functions on this that you're going to want to try to memorize. But if you can't memorize it, just write it down. The Q key, W key, E key, and R key. Now, this is why I like these. Because if you hit Q, that zeroes you out. But if you hit W, that brings you to one of your tools here. And you can actually, what I would prefer to do, if I were you, is to use these lines that pop up. Because it'll drag you 90 degrees straight down. And it's very important to get your angles right. I know this. So you see I can just drag it in between squares. Like it goes 90 degrees straight down. So always use your lines. So now press Z to undo. Z is your undo. So I'll hit Z now. Bring me right back to our center. So now I want a better view than this, because as you can clearly see, the squares going in between the grid lines. I don't like that. Bring it 90 degrees straight up. In viewing plane, wherever you feel comfortable, it's fine. You can completely eliminate the grid if you want to. So now, what we're going to do here is, A, why make a human head out of something that's so square? This is not Minecraft. Because if I go to my smooth key, now, these are another set of keys. Get ready. 1 is to square. Key number 1 is to square. Key number 2, let's see what that does, is to not only smooth, but to also continue where the square is. And if I hit key 3, it's just a smoothed object. And you see how it was a square once upon a time ago, but now it's an oval. This is going to be what we utilize later. Hit 1. Okay, now we're going to make a human head right now. Now I'm going to take my time with it so you guys can actually understand that I am also a beginner at Maya. let's get that out the way. So if you're gonna scrutinize me, just remember I said that. I'm also a beginner. And a novice, I'll say at best. But what we're gonna do here is if you right click on your mouse, hold the right click button. If you hold that on your mouse, the right click button, you'll see this little menu. Now face is what we want. Face is your surface. See how I select my surfaces? Face is the very inner core of your polygon mesh. So what you're gonna do from here is, you know what? Let's just get down to what they all do. So vertical face is the same thing as face, but it separates the vertices from individual faces. That's vertical face. Now if I hold right click again and go to vertex, vertex is, now you get to select the outer edges. Not the outer edges, but so much as the corners. The corners are your vertex. And then you have your edge. The very top. Click edge. And this is your blue lines here. The edge of your mesh is your edges. So you can individually select these. And this is where I like to really use the Q key, W key, E key, and R key. If I hit W on this, without any type of extrusion, I can actually pull this out and transform the shape. Hit Z to undo that. Z takes you right back to where you were before you messed up. So now what we're going to get into right here is the keys, and not the keys, the tools we'll use, and the individual keys that are associated with those tools. So now right click, hold. Edge will take you to the little blue lines that you want to select, you know, the individual lines that you want to adjust. Object mode is just to go to your standard view. So you can click it, you can click anywhere you want on it, and it's not going to do anything. It's just a view what you're doing. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to right click and go to my face. Now to make a human face, now mind you, I am also a novice to beginner on this. So the tools I use, either write them down. I feel like it's best if you wrote them down so you know where you're going. Or you could try to rewatch the video a million times. But if you go to your edit mesh, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th down. I selected a face and I hit my extrude tool. Extrude tool is edit mesh and 8th down. What you're going to do here is, now you see how you have your typical lines? The same lines I said is important to use. When you extrude on this version, I don't know why they put the scale tool so close to the line tool. So what you're going to want to do is, I would normally just press W, because your extrusion will still be there, but it'll just narrow it down to where you want it to go. It's so much simpler just by pressing W. So after the extrusion, press W, and I'm going to go ahead and grab this, my 90-degree center line right here, and I'm going to pull it straight back. Now we have two squares. One's bigger than the other, but this is going to be our cranial area, and this will be our scalp. We'll get into that. So now what we're going to do is the same thing. Now here's a key, another hotkey that I want to point out. Write this down. G tool, your G key is repeat tool. So if you press G after selecting that tool, press G, and it will repeat that tool on that face that you just selected. It will repeat the same process. Now all you gotta do is do the same process. Bring this down. Now we have our neck. It's a little long for a neck, but we'll get to the editing part right now. We'll do it now. Okay, so here's where our face would be. Ears would go here, neck area. So we have a kind of long head. So let's go ahead and select this face. Hits W. Let's just hit W real quick and just bring that back. Forgive my noise in the background. I am why is my TV so loud? But I'll fix that. There we go. Okay. Now we have more of a humanistic looking shape. Alright. So now we have our general shape. Like neck area, head, and then face. I'm going to go ahead and hit Q to zero us out. And let's see what happens if we press 3 on this. Okay. Looks kind of weird. But generally where we're going. So hit 1 again. And I would recommend you, when you're first starting a model, when you're still so squarey in your model, to always work from the squared aspect. You never really want to do crucial work smoothed already. You're just creating more work for yourself. So now that we're here, what you want to do is go to your mesh tool. And I'm going to go ahead and say the 3 important tools that you're going to be using to do this is 1, create. Create lets you select your primitives, polygon primitive, second down, and you can choose your shape. Then your most important is probably going to be between mesh, edit mesh, and mesh tools when it comes to creation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to edit mesh. Is it edit mesh? Oh, mesh tools. It'll be in mesh tools. And then we're going to go to insert edge loop. They have little pictures on the program, but they don't. The little pictures in the descriptions of the tools don't really tell you much. So I'm going to break it down for you here. Now, insert edge loop is going to loop an edge around your mesh for you. So now that I have that tool selected here, I have it selected. Insert edge loop, last tool used. I have it selected. So when I click my edge and hold the button, always hold your mouse when you click. See that green line? I can place that line anywhere on my mesh. And it goes all the way 90 degrees perfectly around. So first thing I'm going to do is I'll create my hairline. My hairline there. Eyebrows come right after the hairline. Then the eyebrows have 2 sides. The top part of the brow and the bottom part of the brow. So put the bottom part of the brow here. And it goes up and down and left and right. So now let's say if we wanted to put a nose somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and select the very center, the center part of the mesh, because you'll see why I do this a little later on. But it's very important to separate a side from a side. But we'll get into that. So 90 degrees, straight down the middle. That'll be where our nose line is for now. And we'll create our eye socket. The eye. Make the eyeball right about there. And right here. Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and create the nose bridge. Also cheekbones, because if you look at the way the lines are going, it's all going to have something to do with a feature. Like if you want to make an old person or create wrinkles, these are the lines you'll need. So there's our nose bone here. Say the tip of the nose. Probably in here. Here's where our cheekbone will end. And now with lips. Lips are kind of complicated. But I'll show you a real easy and quick way to do this. We have our top part. of our lip, and it's 3D. We live in the realm of 2022, so the person needs to be able to talk, or at least at the very minimum move their lips. So let's go here, and another hotkey moment. Write it down. If you want to zoom in instantly on the selected key, see how this one's orange and the rest are basically a navy blue. Go ahead and hit F. F for hotkey for zoom in. You can zoom right on in on it. We have our upper portion of the lip here, and we're gonna go ahead. It's the bottom part of the lip. I usually customize my characters with their mouth already open, so you can actually go into the mouth and add teeth. So we're gonna put a little space between here. Upper portion of the bottom lip. Bottom lip. And this might just look so weird to you, because it's like, hey, all I see is a bunch of squares. But you gotta understand, I see hairline, upper part of the eyebrow, lower eyebrow, right here, upper part of the eye socket, lower part of the eye socket, cheek area, plus nose, which we'll add, lower nose, upper lip. It's all about how you look at it. If you can draw it, you can basically put it here. So we're gonna go to our face. Hold right button, go to our face. Now here's where the things get interesting. So now we're gonna go here and click any surface on any side you want. It doesn't really matter. Because what I'm basically doing here is splitting it into two. So I click that piece right here. I'm going to double click the piece going in the direction of what I want to select. So if I double click going from this piece upward or downward, it doesn't matter, upward or downward, this will happen. Double click. See how I selected the whole thing? It selected all of it. So now the hard part is to just select individually each face. Because what I'm doing here is splitting this mesh in half. And the reason why you split it in half is so when you use duplicate by special or mirror image, you'll have a perfectly duplicated side of the face. Like it'll come together like a puzzle piece, if you will. Select these sides. And sorry for the length of this video, but I hate it when people do Maya videos and they go a million miles an hour. Like you don't really learn anything from it. Okay, so now you can clearly see we just split this mesh in half and deleted. Hit your backspace button to delete, and it'll get rid of whatever is selected. Now, this is a real boxy head right here. So what we're going to do is start to add minor details to this to make it into a human head. So here's what we're going to do. You can grab either your vertex or your edge for this next move we're going to make. But before we get into that, let's add some edge loops to really give us some more dynamic. So if I go to mesh tools, and right here it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth down, insert edge loop. What we're gonna need is a jawline and the gall and basically everything that makes a human face to face. So I'll go ahead and click my edges, just click away here. We'll put our first jawline here, second jawline here. And I'm just referencing the body parts I'm focusing on. Like, you could do it the opposite way. Like, if you want the cranium to be rounder, you could just focus on cranium. But with this tool, as you can clearly see with the orange line, when you use your insert edge loop, no matter which direction on your edge that you're choosing, it'll go with it. If I chose this line, see it goes across. It'll create a hairline. Now let me see how it's orange. That's the selected angle. Now if I hit Z, press Z on this, it'll undo it. Completely undid, like it never happened. So I'll put another angle here, right in the middle. Right there. And let's put our nose bridge. Now I'm going to click this angle. See how it goes up and down? See how I'm going 90 degrees? It's like how I cut it in half. I'll put this here. Now we have a nice little nose area. Frown line is coming together. And let's put a few more in here, so we can round out our head. Well, let's just put one more right down the middle. This is for our nose. This one is for our nose. This one's for the cranium shape. And what's crazy is because if you want, because we have this going on with the eye, what you could do, hold edge, select an edge, which is this edge I'm choosing, and you could delete this to make your eye area bigger. But you know what? Just to be complicated, I'm gonna leave it. So I press Z, and I'll leave that right there. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it just like that. Let's see what we can do. So now, let's start shaping out this head. So we're gonna select. You can either use your edge or vertex for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and use vertex. Vertex gets into more detailing than the edge, overall edge does. Which is why I like using it. But you can always still choose to use the edge because of what we're doing. Okay, so I'll take the very outer edge of our forehead here, and no one's forehead is boxy. So we're gonna go back. Yeah, we can just go back. I would go down. Let's see what happens if we go down. Okay, so we can go back and down a little. And my professor always said making triangles are bad, but as long as the triangles is a forward-sided triangle, you shouldn't have really that much difficulty. Triangles are bad for rendering purposes. He never really explained to me why triangles are so horrible, but I try my best to not make them. Here, you can select the middle. Just the middle vertices here. Always make sure you're not selecting anything extra. And the reason why I selected these, I'll select the ones in front of it. Maybe I should select the side too. We're gonna select all these sides. I thought it would be good with two, but just select all these sides. And press W on this. And as you can see, I can literally stop making it look so boxy by just drawing it up. And we have a forehead. Literally, it was only two simple moves. And then we have where our potential temporal lobe will be. It's already taken shape. It's going to get messier before it gets better. So what we're gonna do here is select these, because if no one's back of their hopefully no one's the back of their head is not this square, I would be making fun of you. But select these almost down to where your neck bone. Always imagine human anatomy when doing this, because it'll just give more realism to your model. Mind you, I'm an amateur myself, but I can still make a meme model. Right there. Should do us. That ought to do us. I hit W on this. Get on. Go 90 degrees. Straight back. Not by much, though. Don't do too much. Eyeball it. I'm eyeballing right now. And speaking of eyeballing, say if you didn't want to do all this by hand, by just by eyeballing it. I'll take a quick pause from our lesson. Say if you wanted more detail and you wanted to actually have a reference point. What we would do for that right now is go to our view, image plane. It's second from the bottom, image plane. Then go to image, import image. And this is, I normally use this for reference points because it'll just be in the background, not interfering with your model in any way. I'll go to my documents, files. I have my own files that I back up for tutorials. Humanistic items. I have a whole bunch of photos of humanistic parts. We can use this guy. Open. Now, as you can see, we have a face in the background. And if I wanted to make my mesh match that face, you would go here. It's right underneath panels. You have all these other camera tricks and tools. What you would want to do is go over to the first one called wireframe. Is that what I said? Wireframe? Yeah. So wireframe, and you can literally trace this guy's face on your background. If I turn it this way, you can literally put your face on the person. But we're not gonna use that. We're going off eyeball. So if I go here, spacebar. If you just quickly tap your spacebar, you can go to your different viewpoints. You'll see I'm in my prospect view here. This is my right view. And these are the top and the front. There we go. I would say, why won't it go away? Alrighty. And whatever your mouse is on, if you tap spacebar again, it'll go to that viewpoint. This is my perspective because I can go in all ranges. I can view it from any angle. Top won't let you do that. As you can see, won't let you do it. Won't let you do it. But perspective lets you. So tap spacebar on that angle, and it takes you right back. So now back to our mesh. We're not going to use any viewpoints or image planes because I can basically draw. So when it comes to eyeballing something, it's not that difficult. If you can imagine it, you can put it here. Let me select my sides here. We're going to do the same thing we did for the cranium and for the back of the neck. We're going to do it again for the sides of the face. So I select these points. You see the top point is already pulled back. So we're just going to pull it. Try to match it. That's good. That's good. Now let's do our jaw. Let's just try to get this done. The number one thing about being a graphics designer is you just want to get it done. So let's just go right here. Select these three. Select all of it so it can be as even as possible when you pull it. Like this. And then you can edit it how you need it. So I'll pull the middle down a little. Give it some sharpness. And then this will come down around the same path. And we got a nice chin there. Let's hit 3 on this and see what we have so far. Smooth it. Okay. Almost like a spaceman helmet, but hey, let's see where we go. So now what we're going to do here is, you see how we have all this empty space? That's where our boxiness is coming from. So what we're going to do here is go back to our insert edge loop, 5th down, mesh tool. Insert edge loop is your best friend. That and multi-cut, but we'll get into multi-cut in a second. Let's try to evenly distribute. Evenly distribute. Like that. Fill that part in. Now that we have all these angles working for us now, and usually the human head comes with a lot of curvature and angles that require a lot of edges and vertices. So try not to get overwhelmed when you see all these lines. As long as you keep track of where everything is and what everything you're doing is, you'll be fine. Leave those edges out. Press W on that. Bring this up. Now do the same thing again. See if I got it all. Now mind you, the keys that I'm using are Q, W, E, and R. Just select your tool and use it accordingly, and you will be perfectly fine. Let me even this out. He has kind of like a caveman head. I don't like that. Bring that up. Okay. Got a nice cranium going there. Now this is kind of a... Now when we split this in half, we want to try to make sure that when we add our other side, it's not bulky. It's not, disruptive of the flow of the artwork. So we're going to select these pieces here. The jaw line's always a complication, so I'm going to get that out the way. Grab all parts of the chin. All of it. You can leave the neck area. No, you don't have to touch the neck area because the neck is naturally thicker than the jaw. So we have the whole jawline in our possession right now. And what I hit is my R for my scale tool. And I'm just going to reduce that. Now you see how we have our cheekbone already happening here? That's what we want to create. And just drag all that kind of over. Now it's not looking so boxy no more. It's kind of starting to look like a scorpion mask. So now we're going to take this, our vertex. We're going back to there. Let's look around. We got a nice little curvature going when it comes to up and down. But let's work on from our left to right. So what we're going to do is work on this on the right side of the head. Select these. Always select your vertex one line short. I see how I'm leaving out this line and going straight in for the middle? Because when you leave that out, it's just going to curve it for you. You're just creating a curve at this point. You're not really adding any detail. You're just trying to curve out the square that you produced. And trust me, doing this way when it comes to human sculptures is much easier than working from a raw surface of a circle. Because a circle requires immediate detailing. See, now this, you don't need immediate detailing. You can just create the shape of it, see what you're working with, and then go off that. Oops. Oh, what was that? Hit Z on that. I just accidentally did something. What was that? Okay. I have those selected. And pull it out. Now you see how we have that curvature to our head now. Now it's starting to come together. It's starting to slowly but surely come together. I'm going to grab this, hit W this, bring this in a little bit. Chin needs to... This is where you get into the detailing. We actually start sculpting your work. This. Now let's go ahead and hit 3 and see what we have. See how sloppy this is. Oh, okay. It's actually working out. You actually already see some facial features going on. We got our cheekbone going. And what's crazy is you can actually work from the smooth if you wanted to. Like, I'm not going to start right now, but if you wanted to work from this type of prospect, you could. But I usually always settle all my disputes with the mesh in a squared angle. So I'm going to hit 1 on that. Everything is squared off. Because when it's squared off and then you smooth it, it just works better for you. Okay. So now we have the issue with the eye. Let's do our eye. We have the issue with the eye here. Now you see how there's 2 lines here. The eye would fit perfectly here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. Go to my edge. Take that edge right here and just delete it. See how I have that square there now. Just a generic square or big square in there. Go to select my face. And then here we're gonna go again to our mesh tools. This is mesh tool. Edit mesh. Remember, the most important tools at this point of a project is mesh, edit mesh, and mesh tools. So go to edit mesh. Let's go to our extrude. Now extrude is also on your control panel here. It's right here. But all these shapes, if you're a beginner, you ain't gonna know what any of this means. So I go off of what I am reading. But what you want is your extrusion tool. I'm going to go ahead and hit R on that. I'm going to scale. Use my scale tool to scale it down. And there's an eye. There's a nice socket. Now, if you want an eye low, press G. Repeat tool. Repeat it, the same process. R for scale. Go down some more, scale it down, and those lines that you see in the inner eye will be our eyelid. And then I'm gonna hit G again. Repeat that same process, but only this time you're gonna hit W and go straight back for your eyes, for the whole eye hole, the eye hole in the socket area and the muscles. You're gonna go straight back like this. You don't have to go too far back because you want to add detailing and, you know, the redness, the pink of the eye, the muscles. You're going to want to add all that in there, depending on how far you're detailing your model. It's starting to slowly but surely come together. It has to get messy before it gets good. So we're going to select our nose now. Let's do our nose. Where would our nose? See how I'm selecting a place. I have this selected, but it'll be that no one's nose starts on their forehead. So I'll go straight down to where the eye is, right here. Nose will start here, and let's say it'll end here. 1, 2, 3. I just counted 3 down. However you want your models, how you want it, and how it's gonna be. But I'm making a humanistic, you know, a humanoid, if you will. So I'll go to my extrude tool again. W, and bring this out in a 90-degree angle. Remember, F is to zoom in. You can press F. Let's see if I press F. It'll actually bring me right to it. So now I'll hit E. Your E key is your rotator tool. So you're going to just literally rotate it back. Like how you would a nose. Boom. It's a pretty strong nose, actually. Now, because we cut our model in half, when you extrude from a raw side with no angle, it'll create an angle. So you see how that's created here? Always make sure you take those edges and delete them. You have to delete them because when we're going to fit this together like a puzzle, it will be like a puzzle piece. So now, let's do our lips. First, let's do the mouth. We'll do the mouth first. The same thing we did with the eye, we're going to do here. So I'll go to my edge, delete this edge. I'm going to go ahead and say here. We have the corner of the mouth. We have the upper bottom lip, lower bottom lip, upper part of the upper lip, and lower part of the upper lip. So what we're going to do here is go to face. And we're going to use the extrude tool, which I think I can press G for this. Yes, yeah. Repeat that. And for the mouth, because you can add the details as much as you want because it's an open space, you can literally just pull this back. Let's go to the other side so I can show you something. Now, when you're creating like a dog or an alien or something crazy, you can literally pull this back as much as you want. It can go all the way back to depending on how big the mouth is. Because when you start the FX motion capture, all of this will come into play. But for a human, I'll only go as far back as the neck. Try to line that up with the neck area right here. Because when someone's talking, you can't see all the way down to their tonsils. And we recreated that space here again. So what we're going to do is go to our face, delete that surface there. Because when we paste this together like a puzzle piece, it's all going to just fit together. Okay, so we have a nice little mouth there, and then we have our nose here. So this nose, let's hit 3 and see what we have. Okay, kind of looks like if you was to make Agent 47 into a Muppet. Okay, it's coming along. So now what we're going to do here is, the more you add these lines to your mesh, the more work you're going to have. So just know what you're doing in advance before you add more lines. And know what type of lines you want. So here, typically, before I start adding lines, we're going to go to our vertex. Vertex. I don't know why I keep calling it that. Vertex. Go here. This is where our nostrils should be. See how I got these 4 selected? So what I'm going to do here is just go 90 degrees straight over. And we have working nostrils. Deselect the upper ones and select the bottom ones. Because the lower part of the nose always comes out a little wider than the upper part. There we go. Nice working set of noses. And then if we want to create a nose bridge, so always start with the middle. Create some curvature. Not a lot, just a little. And then the bottom part of the nose always kind of comes inward towards you. Well, not that much. Let's say there. This is a trial. You don't have to do it like me. Just once you have it in your head, it's your idea. But yeah, I can settle with that. And our face is still kind of flat, so let's do this. Let's add a cheekbone. W. No need to extrude, just pull it straight out. I don't know if you can see that, but we have a cheekbone. Let's hit 3 on this and see what we have. You see how we have our cheekbone area? See how our nose is coming together? You see how it's coming together? We started off with 3 squares, and this is where we got. Okay? So, I don't know how much time I have left, but on my next video, we're going to get into more detail, and we're going to detail this out. We're going to add our ears. Before I end the video, let me just show you one last thing. I think I have time for this one last thing. So, you see how we have our curvature? Where our curvature ends is where you want to begin. On the next one down, you want to leave the curvature and leave space for your next move. So we're gonna grab not the edge of the jawline. Leave the jawline where it is. Not here. You want to add curvature to your cranium. Oops. Just add a little curvature to this. Select all. I'm selecting these individually because if I go and hit hard select, I don't know if any other vertices were selected. So if you pull something out, chances are the other side will correspond to what you're pulling, which is just not good. Let's select these two. And what I'm doing here is hit W on that. I just want to pull it out to give the side of our head a little curve. A little curve. See? Right there. And like now that we have our curve here, because the side of the head is really more boxy than the whole overall head. Let's hit 3. Alright, it's coming together. It's coming together. 3 is your smooth tool, and it's very important because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to smooth your mesh, no matter what. So, say if we wanted an ear here, this will be the last part of it because I think I'm running out of time. But let's say if we wanted an ear, we would go here. Now I'm gonna show you this tool here. It's 1. Well, I'll count that as 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's at the 8th down on mesh tools. You have your multi-cut tool. You go to your multi-cut. Now you see this little line that's producing when I go to a line or go to my edge. When you go to your vertices, always select your edge when using this tool. Go, cue me out. I don't want it. And now go to your edge. I don't want to see this. There we go. And then select your tool. It's mesh tool. And it is, no, it's not. Is it? Yep, it is. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down. The eighth down. Multi-cut. This is the tool that allows you to actually cut extra edges into your mesh. Now, mind you, don't try not to see how I just did right here. There's a triangle there. You try your best to not make triangles because rendering it's such a pain. So I'll make that there, and you can also click the center of the mesh too. You can actually put one here, like right dead center. No lines required. You can literally draw an ear on your mesh. As long as it's not coming into a square or disrupting, you can literally draw the ear on. Boom. Right onto the mesh. No real triangles to deal with, except for this one right here. So if you have a triangle that you are dealing with, go back to that tool, multi-cut. You could press G, but I just clicked the last tool used. Click that line and place that right there. It's a little blue dot. Place it right on that line. Now we have a square there. So instead of that being a triangle, it's a triangle with 4 sides. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I can actually drag this out if I want to, making that more of a believable shape for an ear. Shape this out. This will be our lobe area. Give it some curvature. And mind you, I'm an amateur, but at the same time, I think my lessons are productive. Like, some people are just better than others at things. So if you can actually take this and actually use it and make a awesome game with it, I'm proud. So here we're gonna do is just take this. Let's use our extrude tool. And we're the same thing we did with the nose. The same thing. Literally almost the same thing. We're going to pull this out like this. And we're going to hit our E tool for that's our revolve tool. We could actually, a rotate tool. And we can actually rotate this inward on itself. So as you can see here, it's starting to just take the shape of an ear. Let's pull it in a little. There's some big ears. Right there. And you can add curvature to it. Let's hit 3 and see what we have. Okay. It's those big old weird ears. He looks like a Muppet. But mind you, I'm just eyeballing. The more, and like I said, it has to get messier before it gets better. We would add our lip detailing. I think I'm running out of time. But next video, I'll get into how to detail this guy right here. This poor bastard. And the video after that, we're going to get into our firearm creation training, which I'm way better at making weapons than people, as you can see here. This is just one ugly, poor-looking bastard. But if this video was helpful, please let me know. And if I'm an amateur, like I already admit to be, and I need to improve on some things, please also let me know. But this is Sword Matrix, and hopefully this was helpful.